Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman, and I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. What should have been a Thursday edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. I was a little busy yesterday and didn't get home till really late, and I passed right out. Didn't get a chance to do my theater throwback, so we're doing it on a Friday, which still kind of works, Flashback Friday. We're going to jump into the time machine, head all the way back to 2017 for the next installment in our Conjuring universe journey of theater throwback movies. So we'll do a little Flashback Friday. I'm sorry that we're a day late, but we are still going to talk about our next movie, and that is going to be the first of our spin-offs. We've talked about The Conjuring and The Conjuring 2 the last 2 weeks, and now we dive into the spin-offs. Not the first spin-off, no, we're only going back to 2017 for the second spin-off of the first spin-off, which technically takes place before the first spin-off happened. So we're going to go chronological, but I'm really excited to talk about it because I think this is the one spin-off that really, really works. So why don't you pull up a chair, man, take a seat. We're getting ready to dive in spoiler-free on Annabelle Creation. Now, as I said, we continue to skip over Annabelle, which was technically the second movie made in the universe, but for our purposes, I like tackling, Conjuring 1, Conjuring 2, and now go chronological through the Annabelle story. And, we have another Annabelle getting ready to come out this year. And this Annabelle was the first kind of spin-off that I thought worked the way that the first Conjuring movies did. I've kind of noted that I think both Annabelle and The Nun, by focusing on adults and a more adult story, and losing the kids and the family portions of the movies, they kind of drop off a little bit. And Annabelle Creation utilizes something that kind of ties in a bunch of things, but also gives us that family atmosphere. For those unfamiliar, as I mentioned, Annabelle Creation, is the technical first Annabelle movie, even though it was the second one that was made. Written by Gary Dauberman, who, I tell you, not all of the movies he's written I think are excellent movies. The Nun and Annabelle kind of drop off in that area as far as execution of the movies. But from a film standpoint and what this dude has written, I mean, he has a lot of horror movies that I really like, including Annabelle Creation, He's penning It Chapter 2. He's got the new Annabelle movie that's coming out this year. He's got Swamp Thing in the works. He's doing writing on Are You Afraid of the Dark? I really like a lot of what Dauberman does, and when he's paired with the correct director, in this case, David F. Sandberg, who is getting ready for his big DC debut with Shazam, it works really, his material can work so well when in the right hands, and I think Sandberg was the perfect hands. It was the first of these spin-off movies that actually kind of had a feeling and a flow that was familiar to what James Wan was doing in the Conjuring movies. I mean, there are moments where Sandberg is moving the camera very similarly to ways that Wan moves the camera for transitions, where it's like, it's not quite on his level, but it is close enough where it's like, oh, this feels familiar. Wow, that really works. That made this pop scare work better than over here. And I think Sandberg nails that stuff that enhances the movie and the material that Dauberman gives you. And Dauberman's material, I think, works really well here by going back to what Wan was doing with the Conjuring movies and kind of introducing a whole family. So with this one, we jump all the way back to the man who made the doll, and we meet Anthony LaPaglia's character, Samuel Mullins, his wife, played by Miranda Otto, Esther Mullins, and their daughter, played by Samara Lee B. And that's all she's given to us at that early stage. And we see him kind of make the Annabelle doll and give it to his daughter, and then we kind of flash forward and we learn, like, the daughter died, something bad happened, his wife is, like, bedridden, and the house has been kind of quiet and silent. And because of that, Miranda Otto essentially kind of pleads to him to kind of bring somebody in. So they bring in a orphanage, that's run by a couple nuns. And our nun, played by Stephanie Sigmund, Sister Charlotte, is kind of our first tie-in that kind of tie a lot of these spin-offs and things into the Conjuring universe in a way where they kind of all meet up with each other. So we get to see, no spoilers, but we get to see a picture that we'll see in a later movie, and we get to talk about and mention places that will take us back to the stories for other characters. So it was kind of cool to see that, and Sister Charlotte, I think, does a pretty good job of kind of being motherly, but I think is more of like a big sister. She's kind of a younger nun. And the group of girls she has is a pretty wide range. You have Carol and Nancy, who are the two kind of older girls in this group of five, played by Grace Fulton and Philippa Coulthard. Then you have Taylor Buck, who plays Kate, who's kind of right there in line with them age-wise. And then you have Lulu Saffron, who plays Tierney, who's a little bit younger, but kind of like in the cool kids club. And, Carol and Nancy kind of feels like a high school, like here are the, almost like Mean Girls. Like here are the two girls, we think they're cool, we kind of run with them. And that's what Kate and Tierney do. And they kind of leave the two younger ones off on their own. Janice, played by Talitha Bateman, and Linda, played by Lulu Wilson. And like I said, as a group, they kind of feel and function like a family because this group of girls been together for a while. They've been with Sister Charlotte for a while, and they kind of look out for each other outside of, the way that they kind of split off clique-wise because, Carol and Nancy, I don't think they think they're as grown up as they should be, and they kind of shun them. But it does spark this really awesome relationship between Linda and Janice, and Lulu Wilson and Talitha Bateman. They're the thing that make this movie drive, man. The relationship is so good. I love watching how they interact as kind of like the two, like the two outcasts in the group of kids. And they have this really tight bond so that when Janice's character ends up being the target for the possession in this movie, it just amplifies the story and everything that Dauberman's doing in a way where you're like, no, you don't want this to happen because you really like these kids, you like this kind of family, and you can see how, the demon is starting to kind of tear places and separate Janice away from everybody to kind of make her vulnerable. Very similar to the way Juan does it in the Conjuring movies, where he's kind of able to get characters away, break them down, kind of have the demon take possession. And we get a super creepy, scene that leads up in a barn that leads up to Janice's possession. And when she goes into it, man, and she starts doing like the evil stuff, she is a terrifying little girl. And it just, again, it's that relationship and the wonderful performance from Lulu Wilson, playing Linda, where she just feels so like, I have to help her, I have to save her, this is my best friend. And I love Lulu Wilson in this movie, man. She really does pull on your heartstrings. And now, as you can see, kind of got a little footing and has found a space where now she, she was even in The Haunting of Hill House, where she played a young Shirley. I think she's really good in these kind of horror roles. And this kind of first breakout performance for her, you just attach to Linda, you feel what she feels, and you want to see them help Janice. And it gets to the point where when the other girls start seeing kind of haunting stuff that's starting to go on and realize what's happening, the whole group rallies around. There are no more cliques or, leave these two off to the side or we're going to make fun of them. Everybody kind of rallies around and together, and it really brings a nice build to the movie. But we know that the demon that is inside of the Annabelle doll is gonna have to lead us into the other movies. And I think, the combination of Dauberman and Sandberg do a really good job of giving us an origin. When this movie came out, I was like, we're gonna do Annabelle Create. Didn't we just do the origin for Annabelle? How is this all gonna work? And it does. It works really well. It gives you the first instance and where it all started and how that demon has been attached to it the whole way and kind of fluctuates through the whole series. And it ties itself really nicely into the beginning of Annabelle, brings us back into that Conjuring universe in a way where you're like, oh man, okay, this is right where it is. It's setting the table, places everything nicely, and even drops clues and things that lead us down the path to the nun. So I loved all that stuff. And like I said, I think Sandberg really gets the thrills and the scares. They're good in this movie. They get you to the edge of your seat. They make you jump a little bit. And he does. He captures some of that awe that you get when Juan is behind the camera and working on set, with the way the doors slam and the ghost activities and like when things happen but nothing's there. I think Sandberg really nails a lot of that stuff. And like I said, when Gary Dauberman has a script that's in good hands and you get a really good performance like you do from this whole cast, and you have that group of kids that kind of they get your heart, man. They get your heart and pull you right into the movie where, okay, I immediately care for this group. Even the girls that you might not like at the beginning, you care for them because you know that's kind of their family. And you don't want to see what you know is going to happen. And I think all that stuff, even though it's traditional and kind of textbook, plays really well. So Annabelle Creation, it gives you jumps, it gives you tension, it pulls you to the edge of your seat. It's got the most adorable little kids and a group family dynamic. This works even with Sister Charlotte. All the girls in the movie just play so well together, and they play off each other and just elevates all that stuff to that when you get into the creepy and the possession stuff, you are terrified and at the same time pleading and hoping that, you might get to a resolution that you like. Can't necessarily say that's what happens or not, no spoilers, but I do like where this movie goes, and I like how it sets up the journey for what is all the other, spin-off movies, which we will dive into next week as we finally take a look at Annabelle, the movie we skipped over twice, but when you have this tie-in and lead in this way, I think it plays into the story where all of those stories kind of function, and to see how this universe is being built and created and tied in, I like how all that stuff's going. Even though if it's not quite there, this one is I think a rock solid from the spin-offs, and much more similar to the first two movies. But even the spin-offs that fall off, that they all have a place, they all have a purpose to tell this bigger story that certainly is leading into the new Annabelle movie, the Crooked Man movie, and the Conjuring 3. I'm very excited for all these things. So there you go, man. That's my non-spoiler review of Annabelle Creation. I dug this one. I really enjoyed it. I think it works. It gets you to jump. It gets you scared. It pulls you and sucks you in. And I think everything is working at a place where, you're kind of more in that, hey, this is when Mr. Dauberman's really good. And what Mr. Sandberg does feels more like those first two movies. So C-Man digs Annabelle Creation, but now I want to know, do you dig Annabelle Creation? Hit those comments down below. Let me know what you think of this movie and the Conjuring universe. Where does it fall for you in line with the other movies? At this point, I think they're ranked in the order that I'm doing them. But let me know what you're thinking there, what you liked and didn't like about this movie. Did you think that Dauberman had, good material after Annabelle? Do you think Sandberg elevated that material, got you to something that you're more familiar with? Or did this movie just not work at all? Leave all that down below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're new here, jump on over there, man. Hit that subscribe button. Come join the Cinema Sitdown Squad, where we're having all the fun. And then if you hit that little bell right after, you'll get alerts. And you'll know when we're having the fun, because it'll tell you every time I make a new video. For the C-Man Cinema Sitdown, I'm the C-Man. I'm signing off. Peace. Well, if you aren't still here, looking for something else to check out that's C-Man related, why don't you check out a video like this guy or this guy? And if you really want to help the C-Man out in year 2, hit that subscribe button and come join the Cinema Sitdown Squad, kids. You know what to do. See ya.